Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Let me know if you can hear me and see me. Okay. And please don't forget to include in your questions or comments your age, gender, where you're tuning in from. Because from your questions, I don't know if I'm talking to a man or woman. And I don't know how old you are. I don't know where you are, a little bit cultural background. When I know where you are from or the city, I can maybe put the two and two together. So help me out there. Otherwise, I read the questions and okay, it's a question, but I don't know how to address it as far as your personality or specific qualities are concerned. So we have Alexander Orid here. Says, hi, Miran. How are you? Thank you, Alexander. Hope you're doing well as well. And he says, Alex, male 35, how to deal with fearful thoughts who I suppress it for a long time, and now it is stronger. No, but what fearful thoughts, such as what? Loved one dying or getting in an accident, or something happens. What is it that you suppress? Because if it's a thought, you should know a thought comes and goes, and all kinds of it, thousands of them every day, 80, 90,000 of them are made by the brain, but it's irrelevant to you. It's brain's thoughts. It's not your choice. And among all those thoughts that are created, fearful or not, you have a choice to choose them, act on them, or let them die by the wayside and just move on. Take notice of it if it's important or fearful or stimulate you in one way or another, and then be mindful of what it is. It's a thought, and that's what the brain does. Instead of giving it a character or an existence and an intellect of its own, and recognize for what it is. Okay, it's like you passing by a street, you see a turd on the corner of the street, and you're thinking that turd is a person or it's alive. It can do things by itself. It can become you. It can jump and at your face, rather than thinking, oh, it's a turd in the corner of the street. Okay, I saw it. I'm mindful of it. I won't step on it and I'll walk by. That's the extent of it. But when you give it importance as if they are an entity above you or that can control you or affect you, rather than you being able to affect the thought, the thing, because you're the only person in the world that can allow any thought to turn into any action or actuality, or let them just be ignored and move on, by being mindful of the fact that this is a thought. It doesn't have any existence. It's a virtual imagination, uttering, suggestion. That's all. It doesn't have a character. It's not a person. It's not an entity. You're the only one that can turn any of these secretions or any of these fictitious or productions or suggestions and bring it into real life in real actuality by your actions or not. You're the power, not the brain, not what the brain creates, not the thoughts, not the suggestions, not the feelings, none of that. Because you live by your vetoes and choices, not by suggestion, thoughts, and images and all not that other people suggest or your brain conjures up. Now, having said that, we continue. Says, and now is Sangake. is powerful than me. How? How could a fucking thought be powerful than you? You're creating some kind of a belief which is suggested by OCD, by fear, and you think by giving into it, becoming submissive to a thought, then you're being looked upon as a weak person and would have mercy on you, as if the thought is an entity. It's a fucking non existent emotion. That's all. Expression of an emotion. And thought itself leads into emotion. That's a different topic that we have had. I have a video on what is thinking, what is thought, where does it come from? And beside the explanation of what thought is, then there's a chapter, there's a matter of the brain being in a glitch of OCD and malfunctioning, so it doesn't have that discipline that is designed to have, so it just splurges out thoughts without you being aware of it or having anything to do with it or sanction it or approving of it or wanting of it or inviting it. So you have to understand that the brain can go nuts as well. And brain going nuts, it's up to you to recognize it's gone nuts. So I'm not going to pay attention to whatever it suggests. It's like you have a friend that is crazy and says shit things. You're driving and says, "Oh, let's head into that building." Well, what? You're going to listen to that? No, you hear it and you're mindful that this is nuts. This is stupid. And I'm not going to allow it to become a reality by actually crashing into that house or that building or whatever it is that it's suggesting. So you got to be judging the thoughts, not complying to what the thought suggests or conjures up, what the brain conjures up, as if it's an intellect or it's above you. You're above it. You judge thoughts according to your principles, values, and what it is that you hold sacred, and your whole persona and what you are all about, how you function, how you direct yourself. You have certain criterias, and that's how you operate. Not by something shows up. You gauge it. What the fuck is it? That's stupid. That's irrelevant. That's unreasonable. It's crazy. All right. You're giving too much credit to the brain. Brain is an organ. Fucks up. No different than the intestine. Gets diarrhea. Brain gets diarrhea. Just all kind of nonsense. That's why you have so many mental issues, among every one of us. Some severe, needs, certain kind of care and medication. Some these kinds that we can cognitively understand and analyze and educate ourselves about OCD, HOCD, brain, and so on. All these researchers, Dr. Schwartz, Dr. Philipson, Dr. Jan Weiner, Dr. Leibet, Dr. Speary, Dr. Penfield, Dr. Owen, all these researchers, neuroscientists, neurosurgeons, philosophical point of view, scientific point of views. You got to educate yourself and find out about how this goddamn thing works and doesn't work, malfunctions. And you got to become the mechanic of your own machine. Otherwise, everything it conjures up, you're supposed to run after it, see what it means. Well, it's a crazy person up here as well. Give it too much credit as if it's a know-it-all. All right. So I need a specific example to understand exactly what you're meaning. Or perhaps I already answered your question, how to deal with these things, because you're looking for a certain conclusion to analyze the thought and make a decision what to do about it, rather than, in most cases, there's nothing to be done about it. Just the fact that recognizing it's a thought and it's a crazy thought, it's not invited, it's not in line with your values, it's not something that you would sanction or something you would act on it. That's the end of that. There's no need, and it can happen in a nanosecond. And then, of course, to rewire your brain, you can refer to Dr. Schwartz's 4-step how to deal with OCD, you know, relabel, reframe, refocus, and revalue, which the revalue portion happens automatically after you have learned how to automatically relabel, reframe, refocus, and then revalue takes place. That's when the brain does all these 3 steps in a jiffy right off the bat as the intrusive thought shows up. Anyhow, I have that video explaining the 4 steps of Dr. Schwartz and the text of it. Whoever makes an appointment with me, I will also include and send you on the Skype right away the text of the 4 steps, so you can always have it handy and can read it. Otherwise, the video is there. So we have Baria. Baria says, hi, Mehran, how are you? Thank you, dear. Baria, again, I need to know, your gender, age, where you're tuning in from. Guys, don't forget about, guys and gals, don't forget about this information. It's important to me because I'm thousands of miles across from you, away from you. I don't know. I can't see your facial expressions. I can't see your gender. I can't see where you're tuning in from, like your background, little cultural background, from knowing where you are from. That will all help me the way that I would address you, or I could attend to your question. So until I have that, I'll move on to. And Alexander Orid says, synapses are made very stronger. How to weaken them? I don't know why you use this word synapses. Synapses are, let me just put it down for you here. This is what synapses means. There you go. If you look at what I just said, synapses organizes homologues so they can be separated in meiosis. Well, above my pay grade, some of these words, but in reality, you need to understand what is it that you're actually meaning. For example, I read it for you. So synapses or syndesis is a lengthwise pairing of homologue chromosomes. Synapses mainly occurs during prophase 1 of meiosis 1. A protein complex called the synaptonemal complex connects the homologues and so on and so forth. These are above my pay grade. I'm not expert in this, but I can read and understand. So I'm not sure what you are using this word for, and perhaps you are using it to mean differently. I'm going to put the link for you guys here, so you may want to refer to this page in regards to synapses, what it is, and so on. But I don't think it's really necessary. However, here it is. Because we want to educate ourselves, right? So any chance we get, we'll do that. All right. Naz is here. Hello, Naz. Is from Iran, 47. Thank you for that. I hope you're feeling better. So we go back to Barrier. Barrier says, I have a question that my HOCD is better, but some thoughts irritates me. My bestie shows me a boy photo or talk about her crush. My mind says you get jealous, and I feel jealous too. You see, if I don't know what your gender is, I can't put these things together. Your bestie is a girl or is a boy? And if she says and shows you a boy photo, and then you or her crush, I assume she's a girl, she shows a boy photo or her crush, and then your mind tells you that you're jealous, or you can be jealous. Are you a girl or a boy? If you're a girl, naturally you could be jealous that she's got a crush and you don't, maybe. But why would it be weird if you get jealous in this case? I'm not quite sure, unless you're a boy and you're getting jealous of her crush, another boy that she shows you the photo of. See, these are all confusions. Guys and gals, please make your questions clear for me. So, I'm good, but not that good. So I can't figure out what the hell you're talking about. All right. Says, please tell how to handle that thought. I suppose you're a girl and your bestie is a girl, and she shows you a photo of a boy, and you think it's a sin or a betrayal if you feel jealous about the fact that she has a crush or a boy. That's not. Why you want to be so goody two shoes? Like, I'm beyond human feelings. Look, you see if you're a guy and you see a pretty girl passing by, and it's maybe um, hand in hand in some other guy, and the girl is really hot and good looking, you may say, well, I would like to be with that girl. It's not about being jealous towards that guy, could be your friend or not. It's about the human feeling. You see a hot girl, you say, hmm, you have a reaction. So to you, maybe your bestie's crush is good looking or something that you also wish to experience at the moment and you're not. So you may feel like that would be good if I had it. Or you may feel certain emotions that you call it jealousy. It's harmless. You can't be a saint that I have no feelings about my friend's crush. I have to respect and not betray her. What the hell is that? You're a human being. As long as you don't act on it to go and, decimate their connections or try to create trouble between them or try to hit on your friend's crush, it's all okay. It's you're a human being. You're entitled to those feelings. All right. Muhammad Samir Khan says, I'm 19, male OCD sufferer. Sir, after all types of OCD subsets, now going crazy and hurting. What does that mean? Going crazy and hurting? Hurting what? Emotionally, you're hurting or you want to hurt yourself? And hurting, killing, loss of self control, and becoming mad, schizophrenic is bothering me. It feels so real. The thought of hurting my own brother feels so real. Even at night, I feel I'm not sleeping. My mind goes crazy. I know the awareness that something is wrong with my brain function. Will my violent killing others thoughts will become real? Will OCD develop into schizophrenia? I'm worried about, I'm worried and I am, what, crying? Okay, listen, first of all, if you have such important questions and concerns, I want you all know, as I've said it a million times before, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychotherapist. I have extensive research and understanding of such topics. However, in your case, you would need to talk to your psychologist, psychotherapist, a qualified physician expert in these sort of um, disorders, and ask your questions and remedies from them. In here, this is for educational purposes. I cannot diagnose anything. I don't know enough to diagnose anything. I'm not there to talk to you, even if I had that kind of a knowledge. Now, having said that, my suggestion to you and recommendation is to contact your doctor and ask guidance from them, and psychologists or psychotherapists. Talk to your parents, have them make an appointment for a psychologist with you, and then they will examine you and they will help you with all the questions that you have. So further than that, I don't want to say anything that could make it subdued or you understand that this is your thoughts. So, on that note, I want to leave it at that, but I want you to remember one thing: thoughts are not an entity on their own, they cannot make you do things. The brain could have a glitch of OCD and intrusive thoughts, but the brain is not you, you're not the brain. Brain is an organ. It can malfunction just like your kidney malfunction, just like your liver malfunction, just like your intestine malfunctions. You get diarrhea. The brain also can malfunction and come up with intrusive thoughts or weird thoughts about doing some harm to yourself or to others and all kind of things. But your limited knowledge about schizophrenic and schizophrenia, and you throw these words out as if you know what you're talking about, that an OCD can lead into schizophrenia. These are all things that you have no knowledge of. Certainly saying what you're saying, you just have heard it, and your fear is taking over, and you're coming up with all things as if you say all these fearful things, then things won't happen, and at least it seems like you're aware of something. Don't. Don't put garbage in your own thoughts. The brain has enough trouble by itself that it's putting garbage out. You have an OCD, you have intrusive thoughts. Understand, thoughts cannot by themselves turn into action unless you actually take them and help them and bring them to fruition, bring them to an action and actuality of life. Otherwise, on their own, when they show up in your head, it's not done. You are the boss. At that moment, you have the choice to either entertain them or let them die by the wayside by understanding, becoming mindful that this is an intrusive thought. You got to recognize the thought, relabel them, just like Dr. Schwartz suggests in his 4 steps. Relabel the thought. For example, you feel anxious. Well, you relabel. You say, I'm feeling anxious now. So you give it a name. Then you reframe it. Am I anxious or I'm just feeling anxious? Is something really wrong or I'm feeling something really wrong? Then you recognize all these steps and this appearance of these thoughts, relabel it, reframe it, explain it, interpret it, and then you refocus this energy, this intrusiveness of the thought, the character of it, refocus this engagement instead of focusing on what it is, what I should do, and all that. Understand, be mindful that this is a thought, this is an intrusive thought, and then you refocus it to doing something positive. As simple as drinking tea, making tea, something that is taking your attention from nonsense to a reality of life, and you become one with the present moment. And in that present moment, you will see there is no danger. You're in control. You're doing something positive. There's nothing bad is happening. And then revalue happens by your brain automatically after you've done all these 3 steps. And after a while, your brain is rewired to do these things automatically. You know, quickly relabels, reframes, refocuses to something positive to be done, an action of positivity in your life, and then the brain revalues it automatically. And after a while, this whole process of 3 steps quickly happens as soon as the intrusive thought comes in within nanoseconds. So that's how you rewire your brain. And again, make an appointment with your psychologist, psychotherapist, and ask these questions to ease your mind. Otherwise, you won't, just because the thought showed up in your head, you won't turn into jackass or whatever else you want to call it, schizophrenia or whatever. So educate yourself from the experts such as your psychotherapists and psychologists. And we have P. He says, hello, sir. Male 22 Assam. Thank you for that. Assam, place for amazing tea. Which I could use one right now. I am lost. I'm just left with chamomile, which is fine. Actually, very good. And so we have Shelby says, hello. Can HOCD create a feeling of sexual attraction after long checking if it is? After long checking if it is? Chicken what? It wasn't there before HOCD. Yeah. This is how HOCD behaves. It makes you confused, makes you feel things that you never did. And that's a glitch and a malfunction, a disorder. It's not you. You got to understand that. Just like any other organ that malfunctions and falls into a disorder, brain does the same. But the funny thing is that everything else in your body that falls into a malfunction, you recognize it as it's a malfunction. You don't say, oh, that's how I've always been. Like if I have a diarrhea, oh, diarrhea, it's been my actually style of life. That's how I preferred it. I never knew it. No, you realize it's a malfunction. Your kidney is not working well. You're not peeing enough. You have a pain in there. So it's a malfunction. You don't say, well, that's how my kidney should have behaved. Maybe I'm changing to that. No, you figure out, you go to doctor, fix it up. But when it comes to your brain, suddenly you don't say that. You don't say, my brain is fucked up. You just say, well, maybe that's how I've always been. Maybe my sexuality has never been. What kind of a cockamamie bullshit is this that you guys actually believe a thought, while thought coming from brain is an organ's malfunction, just any other organ. So get your values correctly and look at things properly. It's a malfunction, figure it out, educate yourself, and get over it. Everyone has had these experiences one way or another. All over 8 billion of us have had some kind of a mental glitches now and then. Intrusive thoughts is in everyone's brain. But when caudate nucleus works properly in the striatum, basal ganglia, and the amygdala is not overactive, well, when these intrusive thoughts shows up, automatically your brain has mechanism that shuts it off, shuts off the intrusive thoughts that are not in line with your values. But when there's a glitch and malfunction in caudate nucleus, which is supposed to shut down the intrusive thoughts, which is not in line with your values, when it doesn't work properly, then that's what the result of it is. And suddenly everybody thinks, oh, they're changing. No, you're not changing. You're just having a malfunction disorder, as any organ has, and this time is your brain. Fix it. Simple as that. All right. Monet or Monet Jordan is a pro. Okay. Pro in what? How do I forgive myself? Just say I forgive myself. If I know she communicated her needs and wishes clearly, but I was too complacent to a point where I simply ignored her so long until she left me. You don't need to forgive yourself. You just learn from it that you've been just the ignorant asshole for a woman that you loved, and she was telling you what is missing, and you were not paying attention because you took her for granted, as if she is not a human being, as if that's her duty to always be good to you, regardless if you care or appreciate or not. So that's the blunted way. And if you hear what I just said and you understand it, then you will learn from it. And next time when you have a girlfriend, you will be more tuned to the relationship and how you can make it work by cooperating and doing your part rather than just sitting and taking and being a, how you were. So it's not a sin. You made a mistake. You're not perfect. Nobody is. We are learning. This is a life full of lessons and learning. And you learn something. So you can simply relay to her that I'm sorry for my ignorance and I wish I could redo it. I learned, and hopefully I'll be a better person for my next girlfriend. But I wish I had the opportunity to make it up to you and show you that I actually do care and appreciate you for whatever you were. Whether you want to come back to me or not, that's up to you. But I wanted to appreciate your relationship with me and your pleasant personality, and I'm sorry for my shortcomings. That would help you at least feel that you've been a man, you attended to your part in this, and you relayed it to her. Then you will feel much better. If you can't tell it to her, you can email it to her or text it to her. What is it? Today, everybody's texting everything, right? So Brithu Brao or Brau, I always have a little challenge with your name. Brithu Barua says male 35 India says should one believe in astrology? It's up to you. You want to believe, believe. You don't want to believe, don't. But obviously there are people who spend their life to come up with that science, so you can check it out. Mohammad Samir Khan says, do dreams become real? Not necessarily. Some by chance, maybe, but there is no correlation between them. Do astrology, palmistry, myths are real? I don't know. They could be in some cases accidentally, incidentally become synonymous or become similar to what you dreamed, and sometimes it's not. So wanting to take them all as if they're real or they would turn into real, that's not suggestible. I mean, that's not something, reasonable to think. Sometimes some dreams turn out, oh, I dreamt of it and it came true. But most often we dream of so many things and none of them come true. So how about that? The one that comes true, we conclude that all dreams could come true and we get scared about it. Every time we dream, we go, oh, what is it going to happen? And then thousands and thousands of times the dreams that none of them come true, we don't have any judgment and opinion on that. It looks like you act out of fear, as if you think there is an entity out there watching if you believe the dream, and if you don't, it will frown upon you and it will frighten you and it will make bad things happen to you. So you're kind of dealing in some kind of a fearful mentality, as if something has more power than you do in these sort of things, and you're kind of having a bar to dealing with it. you know you create some kind of a watcher that you have to comply, you have to be subdued, apologetic, weak, in order to be favored by that watcher. That's the human psyche. Since childhood, they have turned us into mouses. They have turned it into mice, to be afraid, to always beg for something, to be apologetics, not to be strong, not to be positive. Because if you're positive and you're strong, that would mean you're arrogant. And if you're arrogant, God or watcher or whatever it is that you're accustomed to will not like it because they want you to be weak. That's how all these fucking kings and queens and things and dictators in the old history have caused to control your minds, to be subdued and submissive to them, to fearing you from religions and things and that, this and that, in order to control you and be able to rule you. Otherwise, you don't have to be so apologetic and feeling guilty and must be begging for things and hoping that if you're weak you'll be liked, if you're strong you won't be. All that is nonsense. So stop believing in all things, whether you dream or not. Sometimes you dream and something may come true. Sometimes because of your actions some things come true, and you dreamed it because you've always been thinking about it. It's got no real correlation there as a rule. All right. Mune Jordan is a pro, says Payam, male 30. Oh, that's a Persian name, isn't it? So how do I forgive must go? We just did that. We just talked about it, didn't we? All right. Oh, it's just three times the same question. Payam. Yeah. Do you stutter when you talk? Now you're repeating your writing? Or is it the system? Baria is female 17, India, says, please answer my question. Okay, let's go back to Baria, see if I did or did not answer her question. I did answer your question, Baria, about your friend and crush. It's fine. You feel jealous. That's okay. Or you feel like, that's a normal thing. As long as you don't act on it, don't create problem between them, or you don't hit on their boyfriend, or a crush. Otherwise, that's a normal feeling. It's nothing to be ashamed of. You're a girl, you're a human being, and you may find that same boy that your bestie is showing to you is good looking, or you like that look, or you would say, "I wish you had some, some interest of a boy towards you as well." There's nothing wrong with that, but you're not acting on it to do some harm to your friend or to wish her ill or anything, and that's fine. And Lygia is here. Hello, Lygia. Says, "Hi, I love the new photo for YouTube." Oh, yeah, I did change that, didn't I? I wonder what did I put it in? Yeah, I think I remember what it was. Yeah, I thought it's time to change my photos. I got tired of them. And thank you for that, Lygia. Brithu Barua says synapses are to the. Yeah, you explain your question, Brithu, uh, better because the synapses are taking place. That means you're glitching into it, but you spelled it with the es, and that's as far as I could find it. But maybe you can word it out so for me to understand it better in relation to your question. Yeah, Barry, I think I've answered your question. Yes, that's that's how I would use the word synapses for my discussions in the previous videos, Birthau. However, what you're referring to your question, it's really not having to do with synapses. It's having to do with your interpretation of that particular thought. It triggers something, but you're making it too scientific, which is really not necessary. Give me a question in a layman's words, and I will explain it in layman's work. Because if you want to get into neuroscience of things, then many things could actually stimulate the synapses to click into. Whenever you do something repetitious, the synaptic neurons, the end of the neuron is trying to flow the neurotransmitters from the synapses, the synaptic points of the end of one neuron to the synaptic points of the beginning of the next neurons. That's how they connect through the chemical reactions that they have at that point, so the neurotransmitters can travel through and get that information in. And that's how neuroplasticity takes place and so on. But here, for your question, just let me know what it is that you're trying to say, and then I will read it and then we'll discuss it on that basis. Yeah, we've talked about the synaptic connection of the two ends of the neurons, especially in regards to neuroplasticity, in many other videos before. But in this particular question, I think that word synapses wouldn't have a place because you're explaining how you feel as a trigger rather than the synapses. I don't think synapses would really have anything to do with your question. It's a trigger overall by interpretation of you of a thought that causes reaction in you, in your feelings, which stems from thoughts. So your interpretation of the thoughts is what actually triggers some reaction or feelings. And so we got to focus on that rather than the actual synapses between the ends of neurons. That's my thoughts. All right. Aman is here. It says, Mehran, too happy to see you. Oh, great. Thank you. This is May 21 Mail India. Welcome, Aman. This is And Dawn Pelletier says, "Hi, Miran." Hello, Dawn. Says, oh, Dan, sorry. Dan, male 44, Ontario. So just wanted to say hi and thank you for all your helpful videos and time helping others. Your channel is second to none other. And yes, I promote it to my friends, Lola. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Dan. I certainly would appreciate any one of you helping the channel to be more exposed and get visibility. As as you all know, and Dan just mentioned here, our content is pretty much second to none, but we have no real presence on YouTube among the 50 million other channels. Somehow, either I'm doing something wrong in the tags and whatnot, or somehow we're not getting the love that we're supposed to get by being, found so easily. Aman says there's a girl I got into contact with, very new. She showed me a lot of interest and I asked if she's single. She said no. So I kept normal contact to her, but she acts too interested. She attracting me badly now. I don't know if she want to date me or what. She keeps hitting on me, messaging every moment, trying to come close, and I liking her too. Should I ask her if she want to see me? Yeah, sure, why not? What's the most she can say? No. So you get rejected. So you get stronger. You're a man. You're supposed to be get rejected. Don't be afraid of it. And the fact that she has a boyfriend or not, you already asked her and she said yes, but she's still pursuing you. So go for it. Because you already shown that respect to her relationship, and even though she now knows, but she's still pursuing, then see what you can get. Maybe she may play a game with you because she already has somebody, and so she's going to enjoy herself, and at any time she wants she can say no, and she won't lose anything because she already has someone. But it's going to entice you more to come more and more forward. So don't go too all out. Just see if she's interested to meet with you. Yeah, take her to tea and get to know her. And eventually, maybe she'll just say, well, she prefers to be with you, even if she's in a relationship. Or maybe she's not. She's just playing game. Either way, just whatever she wants, you comply. She wants to see you, you see her, because you've already extended that concern about if she's with somebody or not. She says yes. So, but she's still coming forward. Well, then appreciate it. And he says she sends me romantic stuffs too. Well, that's fine. Enjoy it. Ayan says 18 male Peru. And he says, sir, the brain is a machine that makes thoughts. So the brain don't know what it is. What it is? No. Brain itself is an apparatus. It's a thought manufacturing plant. That's what it does. 80, 90,000 thoughts a day. It picks up whatever has somehow found its way to your consciousness, and it picks up things, and some of them just ideas, some of them just benign, and some of them it just plays on your fears and what you're afraid of, what you're concerned about. And it thinks by bringing it to your attention, it's actually protecting you. But when the amygdala is overactive and is overdoing it, it causes trouble and more concerns than it should, and it becomes uncomfortable. But at all time, you should know that you are the master. You are in charge of choosing, that you live with your vetoes and choices. You don't live by the suggestions of the brain or images or emotions that it creates. Every thought can create an emotion in your body. That's how powerful the brain is. But creating that emotion in the body, getting a reaction from the body, that reaction that the body is being producing because of the thought is not an evidence to think that the thought originally that was created is actually accurate or reliable or has credibility. Because the brain has the power, by way of thought, creating an emotion or action or response in the body. But that response should not be an evidence to you that the actual suggestion or what the brain conjured up is of any credibility, or it's pertaining you, or it's relevant to you. It's all could be meaningless and irrelevant to you. You should understand that. Muhammad Samir says, sir, will you memorize CQH1 protein that helps in deleting memories? It's CQ1. I don't think it's CQH1. C1Q or CQ1. That's what I remember. And it says, will you memorize? What do you mean memorize? I don't understand the sentence, Muhammad. And Albert Einstein is here, says, your point on the watcher really gave me a paradigm shift. Okay, dear. Delighted that it could be of some use. And Ian says, 18 male peruser, I saw one of your videos about fear, and he said that we have to focus and the moment, on the moment, I guess, and the moment are very short. But how can I practice that? And how can I understand that? Well, when you focus on the effort that you're making in a moment, like right now, my effort is to speak. So if I focus on what I'm doing right now, that's where my mind and body would both be presented in this time and space. And in this time and space, I'm in total control. There's nothing, there's no fear because I'm not comparing what it was to what it is and what it could be. I'm just attending to producing, making an effort to create something. And that something could be words or communication right now. One moment, please. I got to take this call. Okay, sorry about that. That was a call from the care center. The lady who is a friend of my mom and helps her called me, so I quickly wanted to know what it was. And there was nothing serious, so we'll discuss it some other time. So, where was I? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, where was I? I was talking about if you're focusing on the moment, on your effort you're making, there would be no fear because there's no comparison between what it was and what it is, what it could be. You're focusing on creating. Like when you're running and you're focusing on your running, there's nothing else there because you're training your brain to focus on one thing, and that one thing is what you're doing, and that what you're doing is no interference of comparison of anything to anything or any fear to seep in because it's not about the future or the past. It's just about what you're doing. And what you're doing takes prevalent and takes priority to anything else. And that's what occupies the mind. And all these fears that are created are just a comparison that the brain does according to its fears or its concerns and whatnot. But if there's no comparison, usually, unless it's some immediate danger that's happening, there would be usually no fear. And Column, 27-year-old from England, says, have you ever visited England? Yes, I have. Actually, we used to travel to Europe every summer. My dad, at one point in his life, was a legal advisor to KLM airline in Iran. So we had the opportunity to travel every summer. So one summer, I remember my mother took us, me and my brother, took us to England. We went to Bournemouth, and it was by the sea, close to the sea, and it was beautiful. And we had lots of, I was a kid, so we'd go to big department stores and buy toys. And I remember that we would go toward the beach, and every time we'd see an ice cream stand, we would just direct mom to the ice cream stand to buy ice cream. We had so many ice cream that day. And so, yeah, and then I've been to England in a few other occasions when I was traveling back from my summer holiday from Iran back to United States to my university. I stopped a few days in London and I enjoyed myself, discos and places to go. And then another time I went there, it was 10, 15 years ago, I guess, or 20 years ago. I went for business. I went to London. No, I went to Mannheim. From Mannheim, Germany. We flew early flight to London for some business meeting. And I enjoyed having lunch at Harrods. It was beautiful, very stylish, very nice. I remember when I was picking my food, um, somebody was behind me and took the plate. And wherever I went, he would carry my food with me. It was quite serious. So I just pulled the fast one. I just went toward different different tables, fooled around to see if he follows me. And he did. Everywhere I went, any direction until I got to my table. But I took the long route just to have fun. But it was very good, very, very classy service, and I enjoyed it. The food was good too. I think I had Yorkshire pudding as well somehow. I'd heard it a lot, so I had to try it. It was okay. And Muhammad says the focus on present moment and living in the present, judging thoughts, will kill OCD, right? It definitely helps, yes. And crazy intrusive thoughts can only killed by knowledge. You see, you don't want to kill. You keep using this. That is why the OCD keeps coming back, because you want to dissipate it, decimate it. You want to destroy it. You want to make it disappear. You don't disappear many things that you don't like when you're walking in the street, but you just learn that these are not in line with your values or your interests. So you pass by, you ignore them, you acknowledge that their existence, but you also acknowledge their uselessness to you. And then you move on about your plan. So your focus would be on what you're trying to pursue rather than on these side notes that comes along in the streets wherever you're going. It's like going to a store to buy something, and on the way to that store there are many other stores and many other merchandising is happening, but you're not interested in that, but you recognize that's it, but that's not what I'm looking for. You go next, and you go until you find what you're looking for. So you focus on what you're supposed to be focused, and you unfocus by recognizing that this is not something you want to focus on. Same thing with intrusive thought shows up, OCD shows up. You say, well, okay, I recognize that's OCD, but that's the end of it. I am not supposed to, I don't need to comply with it. I go about what it is that I want to accomplish. And of course, the other ways that we talked about on 4 steps of Dr. Schwartz, and the knowledge that Dr. Phillipson, Dr. Schwartz, Dr. Jan Rayner, and so on have talked about it. They have videos on YouTube. You can always enjoy it. All right. So I guess we're caught up with all the questions. So why don't you guys take a few minutes break? It's been an hour, and then I'll be right back and also call and see if there's something I can help. As far as it wasn't urgent, so I can call now, and you guys can enjoy some kind of a break, make some tea, bring some tea and whatnot. Okay, and we're back. So where are we? I guess we answered all the questions. If you don't have any more questions, I guess. Oh, we do have, I guess. So Column Higgs says, 27-year-old from England says, have you ever visited? Oh, I just answered that one. I guess that was the last one we talked about. Muhammad Samir Khan says, the focus on present moment and living in present, judging thoughts. Okay, you're talking about, okay, we talked about that. I guess we answered all these things. Um, Muhammad says, sir, do you know Ram Gopal Varma? No, I don't. Uh, Albert Einstein says, any advice on building the mental fortitude to strive towards difficult goals with unrewarding difficult work? Aha. How can we defeat laziness and sabotage uh, physio- physiologically or psychologically, you mean, huh? Okay. Yeah, there's some work that are not fun, but somebody has to do it. So what you need to do on those sort of things, you got to interpret the work for what it does for you, not what the work is enjoyable or not, but what this work actually affects your life in what way. In other words, you probably are getting paid for that work, that you are not enjoying it. So don't focus on the fact that I don't like this work. Focus on the fact that what doing this, what you don't like as a job, would actually provide for the quality of your life. In other words, it could mean what you don't like, but the money of it could mean food on your table, or the opportunity to buy yourself a bicycle or a car, or whatever it is that you want to accomplish or purchase or better the quality or standards of your life. So by interpreting the effect of this work into a value, added value to your lifestyle, provisions that you're looking for, then it could be tolerable that you have a goal. I'm not doing it for the sake of doing it. Yeah, if you're not getting paid for it, well, don't do it. Why should you be doing it? But if it has a benefit for you, like you're fixing your porch, well, you do it so you won't fall or somebody won't fall and, break their neck. So you got to interpret the benefit of what you're doing in one way or another, either as a job or safety or something that needs to be done, like the roof. You don't enjoy to fixing it, but the water won't come in when it rains. Or it will provide some money for you so you can buy some grocery or advance your lifestyle or pay your rent or go on a trip or vacation or you know go on a date and have money to spend. All these things can help you to endure the quality of the work that you might not be enjoying it, but it means something because it adds to what it is that you like to do. You don't like the work that you do, but what it brings you translates into what you don't like doing. It actually helps you to be able to do what you like doing, which is a motivation. Mm, good. Okay. Lydia says, what do you think about the Canadian dream? Well, all our Canadian dreams are shattered with this asshole that we have as a prime minister. That's, that's forget Canadian dreams. So I see more and more Canadian companies are getting more flexible about foreign work visa applications. But I also see Canada is not what it used to be. Yeah, Canada is messed up right now because of the government that we have. In my opinion, the government is involved in unlawful behavior, breaks our Constitution and Charter of Rights. It advocates a foreign agenda. It's part of a clan, WEF clan, and it's following the globalist agenda. It is not a Canadian value. The government, in my opinion, is not worth voting for. So all that should change before we can get our Canada back. It used to be a very good country because it was law abiding according to our constitution and respecting the Charter of Rights. And this government obviously is not of high echelon, and it doesn't have credibility enough to warrant him to form a government. But they have a minority government. They only had like 20% of the votes, and the conservatives had 23% of the votes, but they actually cooperated and with the another party, NDP, New Democratic Party, and they're socialists. So now the two of them together have created majority, and they put every kind of shit laws and regulations and bills through the parliament without considering that it's not serving Canadians and it's serving their agenda, which is a foreign agenda. And to me, this government is involved in acts of treason. So hopefully people will be awakened, and the next time when we want to vote, they will never vote for this treacherous government and unlawful behavior and conduct. And they're now busy trying to change laws as far as what we can see on internet, what we can say, what we cannot say. And men are women and women are men, and they can anybody be anything they want, depending on whatever they feel that day. They have a problem, as you can see, in the United States and Canada to define woman. These are all the globalist agenda's pathway. So, what do you want me to say? Yeah, it is not, we've got a psychopath as our person at helm, Lygia. And Albert Einstein says Canadian nightmare right now. You're right. And Alice Venturi says, why does my brain bring my ex back while being in a happy relationship with a man I always wanted? Ex partnership was very toxic. Well, I need a little bit more information as far as how did it end up? How did you deal with it? Are you happy with the way you dealt with it? Perhaps you're not happy with the way you dealt with everything that was going on. And now you're bringing it back because you're trying to fix something that you weren't able to do as you wished it then. And now you're dissatisfied of the way you actually responded or behaved or dealt with the problem. And you want to deal with it with more assertive way. And now you keep going back in there trying to fix what that was, because the brain cannot understand or tell the difference between actuality and virtuality. So brain thinks, when you think of it, it thinks that the same thing exists again as an opportunity to fix things that it didn't fix before now. So you keep going in there, but because you don't see a real, actual physical response or result of your remedies that you come up with in your mind about that situation, then even though you're satisfied for a moment for the remedies that you've come up with, the mishandling of the situation when you were handling it, now you've corrected it in your mind. But because you don't see any physical reaction or satisfaction in actuality, so you end up having to redo it every time this thought comes into your picture because you see nothing has changed. It's still the original way of you handling is still as the main copy of the recorded message or recorded memory. So you have to keep going. That's why you are dissatisfied with having dealt with it, even if you have tried to edit it, still doesn't show that it was edited. It doesn't save it, and it keeps showing the original way you handle it because that is what has happened. So have to keep doing it. That's why you keep recalling it and you're going in there. You think the more you go and fix it, eventually it get fixed. There is nothing in existence to need fixing. Your problem is that you think things are still there because you have a memory of it. Yet it's dead. There is nothing in existence of the previous relationship that you need to go into the memory and fix them. When it doesn't exist, it doesn't need fixing. So everything automatically is fixed by not being in existence anymore. All it is a recording, and recording has no life to it. So you don't need to do anything. Even when you go in there, you shouldn't have any purpose going in there to fix anything because what something doesn't exist doesn't need fixing. So it's already fixed by having been booted out. So you left that relationship, or he left the relationship, or somebody somehow dealt with it, which I don't know what the situation is. You left, he left. Are you satisfied with how things ended, or you wanted to be more assertive or harsh? I don't know what's going on. So therefore, that's as much as I can guess, Alice. And Albert Einstein says trauma bonding is real doesn't mean it's a healthy bond. Okay, you're talking to Alice, I guess. Ship says, love you, buddy. Thanks for speaking freely. My pleasure. Muhammad Samir Khan says, question mark, I don't know what that is. And Prison says, Haq Nawaz, Pakistan 23. Hello there. And Sid is here. SNG says, hello, General. Male 35, Manchester. Hello, Sid. Says, I guess I spoke too soon. I'm sad again. No girls, but trouble with the landlord. Oh, trouble with the landlord? You're still in the same place, aren't you? What trouble? It's all about money. He or she wants money. So don't try to logically save it. Just see what's the money he or she is after. Alice says, thank you. You're called. Welcome, dear. And Prison says, how are you? Thank you. Good. Aaron Swishmez, I'm sorry, I don't know still how to pronounce your name. Says, hello, Meran. Just wanted to thank you because you really have changed my life and it's changing it. Well, delighted to hear that, Aaron. Thank you for sharing. And now here comes the hammer. Make sure you share that, share the videos on your social media and help the channel grow, guys. I mean, honestly, it's been 12 years and we're like, what, 26,000? And we should have 2.6 million at least followers or subscribers. We don't. So I need your help, guys. If you really think highly of this channel and the content helps you, do something for heaven's sake. Otherwise, I'm going to increase my fees on my Skype consultation one-on-one. You know how cheap it is, right? You all know that. That, really counselors out there ask for $400, $500, per hour, per 45 minutes. All right. I'm not a psychologist, but some psychologists, believe it or not, some psychologists from California and somewhere else have called me for their own problems. So, because they find my approach to solving relationships and so on is unique. And they have not had that training in understanding the psyche the way that I have researched on it. So, having said that, then I need exposure. I don't know how to get it. If you guys know, help me out. Help the channel out so we can survive. And I can do this all the time. Prison says, what is actually state nothing of? I don't understand. I'm not following. I don't understand the question. All right. So I guess I'll be here another maybe 10, 15 minutes and see what happens. Aaron says, yes, because I think you really speak from the heart. You really want to help people. Yes, I do. That is true. That is my intention. As you can see, I mean, you can tell. Never have I ever tried to hang you guys dry by hearing your question and then giving you a teaser and then telling you go and make an appointment or buy my books or pay for a consultation so I can make more money or whatnot. Well, naturally, I do. That's my job. That's how I survive. That's how I provide my information, and then I expect to get paid. And that's how we all have some kind of profession. And I love this. My research is because I love it. I love helping young or old people with their psyche. It's very important, and I'm passionate about it. And yet, I go all out when you guys ask a question, as much as the time allows in these live streams, to answer it. If you look at the comments on videos, every question that has come in there, I have answered it in length, not just a teaser so you come back and buy something. So these attitudes tells you that yes, I genuinely want to help people with whatever little I know and certain kind of ability that I have in delivering and logically helping people to see things otherwise they couldn't. That's my thing. And I'm putting it out for free for people because I do genuinely care. But I don't mind money either because we got to make sure. That's why I want to have 2 million, 3 million subscribers so we can actually, without coming out of your pockets, YouTube and the advertisements would then pay. So we would be able to expand these services. And, hopefully, maybe when eventually the world becomes normal, who knows when, I can travel, have workshops, and people can actually physically meet, and we can really share knowledge. And there are more things that I can share with you than I can share on YouTube. So, having said that, thank you for mentioning and that comment, and I appreciate that. And Albert Einstein says, I bought your books, amazing value for the price. Well, thank you very much again for sharing that. I've turned all the books, as you know, into ebooks, so it's much easier. Like the books were selling at $80 or $105, depending on which we're on, US. But I've turned them into ebooks for a long time now, and you can see you can buy the same book for $8 rather than $80. So these are the things I've done. Yes, it's not there just to make money; it's there just to get it out in people's hands. So make it, And I'm also trying to have a feature on my site, which my programmer is working on it. Hopefully it'll be done, but I guess he's been busy on his regular job, but hopefully eventually it'll be done, where you can go on my site and choose to participate in a group session rather than a private session. The private session would also still be there, but some people can't afford it, even though it's so reasonably priced. So in this group session, maybe 10, 15 people, and it would be less than half the price. Yet they all can ask questions, and it will be face to face. It would be on Zoom. And so, again, another thing to facilitate availability to other people around the world who don't have the luxury of having a little bit extra money so they could spend on their well-being and psychological well-being and so on, and have a private appointment with me. So I'm doing whatever I can, but I still need exposure. It doesn't matter what I have on my site, what services I have. If people can't see the YouTube channels, they won't know that I exist. They won't use it, and there would be no economic values to the channel. The channel dies and withers and disappears. I don't like that. uh, Prison says state of nothing according to Hegel philosophy. Can you explain, please? Uh, Prison, I will definitely explain it in some of the time once I actually understand what Hegel is talking about, and then I will have my two bits on it. But in the meantime, let me go to Alice. Alice says, my question is how to fix these intrusive thoughts, focusing in the moment. Alice, this is a um, elaborate discussion, which I have done in hundreds, hundreds, literally hundreds of videos that is available on my channel. So if you go on my channel and just put the keyword intrusive thoughts, you will have number of videos that has had that word in its title. But there's also a lot more discussions that have been done on live streams and many videos. I think you'll be overwhelmed of the availability of different videos on that topic. However, specifically, that would be something specific to you, that what it is exactly, that intrusive thought. On that note, then you, in this case, you need to go to my site, mindthatseekstruth.com, www.mindthatseekstruth.com, and make an appointment for Skype consultation or Skype chat one on one, and we'll talk about it and specifically what it is that you're looking for answers as far as I can do it. Because it takes like about at least 25 minutes just to cover the bases without your input. And then your input will add more questions back and forth. So we'll at least need an hour. And any newcomer, new client that makes an appointment for an hour, I usually give extra half an hour to an hour on top of that hour. So we'll have lots of time to know about the situation, know about your background, know about the question, and discuss it thoroughly without rush. Yeah. Now, how to fix these intrusive thought? And you said focusing in the moment. Focusing in the moment is theoretically is the way. However, it also have to be recognized that the brain needs rewiring, because obviously it has a glitch in its organization and it's responding, and the thoughts that are supposed to be shut down by caudate nucleus in a striatum in basal ganglia is not actually doing what it's designed to do. That's why the thoughts hover. They don't dissipate or decimate or they disappear as they're supposed to be when they're not in line with your values. But when caudate nucleus is malfunctioning and is not doing its job, they hover. And you think because it hasn't disappeared, it must mean something. Then you look for a conclusion to that meaning. And that takes you to so many tangents. And then the fear takes on, the amygdala comes to the picture, and whatever you're afraid of, you bring it up because you think, if I'm afraid of something, if I think of it, then it won't happen. Then you go on, and these intrusive thoughts, in fact, expands. Instead, you got to apply the 4 steps of Dr. Schwartz and understand how the whole procedure to rewire your brain works, and then you will proceed on that note, and then you help through neuroplasticity rewire the behavior of the malfunctioning brain. It's the malfunction of the signaling system of the brain, Alice. So I hope that would be some kind of a information until should you decide to make an appointment, and we'll go through it thoroughly. Aaron says, by looking left and right and trying to understand what is going on at the moment. Oh, you're answering somebody else. Okay. All right. Well, Lygia says, have you tried to check if people are watching your videos till the end? That's very important for the YouTube algorithm. Yes, uh, I do check it, and most people don't watch it to the end. Whether it's because they get something out of it, and or whether because they're not patient to see how they all connect together, maybe towards the end, or perhaps they're curious as what it is, but they're not necessarily looking for that particular topic, but they find it interesting to a point. And or some people may actually be very excited about seeing my face, but in the middle of it, they decide, well, okay, nothing more exciting, so they just cut it off. It depends. I may have to, do some facial maybe correction or something. I don't know what the hell they don't watch it. This whole thing that I've put in here is over 3,000 videos, and every goddamn one of them is so valuable that I can't. I'm beside myself, and I'm unanimous on that. so, so, in other words, with all due respect, I appreciate the ones who watch it to the end, and they help with the ones who don't, because if they don't watch it to the end, they can't get the whole shebang of it, and that's their own fault. So, that's here. I said it. Now you know exactly how I feel about that. Statistics. It's like people want to answer the questions. They want to solve their problems. They don't have the, you know, they don't want to sit their asses on the chair and actually research for it. They all say, how can I do this? Just give me a formula. I mean, this is a whole new way of thinking that people don't have patience even to learn something thoroughly and think about it and put it to work. They just want somebody says, oh, this is what you do and that will happen. Nothing is like that in the world. You got to understand how the psyche works, how it malfunctions, how it functions, what are the components involved when you go through intrusive thoughts, what are the components involved when you go through breakup, what is it that makes you devastated, how you should be thinking of it, what is order, what is thoughts, what is consciousness, what is fear, what is desire, what is order in life, what is mechanical process, what are these things having to do with the breakup, and to be able to recover from this experience in life. Is it an experience or is it the end of the world? Is there any hope or should I just leave it all alone? All these questions. And if it's intrusive thought, what are the components of the brain involved in intrusive thoughts? Is it something I can control? Should I be controlling? Should I be looking? Should I analyze it? Should I look for the conclusion? Should I observe and go and live my life? Or should I be just hung up on every thought that shows up in my head and try to find out what does it mean? As if the brain is beyond me and is more important than me, and is as if the brain is intelligent. There is no intelligence in the brain. We all know from the experiments that Dr. Speary, Dr. Libet, Dr. Penfield, and Dr. Owens have done that there is no localization of the intelligence in the brain. There's no such thing. There's no compassionate center. There's no mathematics center. There is no political center. There is no smart center. There's no intellectual center. There is no such thing as the brain being the intellect of your entity. You survived and you lived for millions of years before you had such a brain at all. Such a brain didn't even exist until 40,000 years ago. But we all had psychological security in some sense. We didn't have these mental pressures and these mental deficiencies that we all have today since 40,000 years ago. We were living like on instinct, like animals would run, hunt, eat, sleep, have sex. No questions about your gender, no question about anything, because it was all instinctive. Yet, when we were able to think and speak, which was from 40,000 years ago, that's when the problem starts, because thoughts are the roots of all problems. When a thought shows up, you interpret it, you go into it, and you think it's actuality. It's a virtual thing that the brain is doing. That's its job. But when we couldn't think or speak, well, they had no judgment, they had no analyzation, there was no conclusion being sought after. Therefore, everything was fine. There was no questions. But this thinking brings questions, and then you want to answer the questions, you want to come to conclusions, and all that drives you nuts and crazy. And we got all crazy people, all kinds, from intrusive thoughts to all kinds of other things that they want to do and harm themselves, and all kind. OCD is all about thoughts. If you didn't have thoughts, you wouldn't have OCD. Who had OCD 40,000 years ago? Nobody. OCD is about thoughts that affects the brain and affects the body to react something, and it creates some kind of a need for psychological security, and the OCD, which is attacking that psychological security that you're seeking. So you do all kind of weird and crazy things in order to bring that kind of a safety and security that your body needs and your mind needs to, and each want it differently. The body finds security differently, and the brain finds security differently, and these two go at it, and they create all needs for psychological security, as you had the needs for physical security since a million years ago. And then all these thoughts get involved and drive you nuts. So knowing about it is what we're doing. Otherwise, how did we start with this? See, I forgot. All right, whatever it was. Prisoners say I always try to study alone and hide my mistakes. Why? If you don't make mistakes, how do you learn? Are you Aristotle? Even Aristotle didn't know everything. Through life and experiences, we learn things. And how can you learn anything from the get-go to know it exactly how it's supposed to be done? It's like saying Picasso, the first time he picked up a pencil, he drew, it was the masterpiece. No, just drew like shit, and then practiced and practiced, and then became good, like anybody else, like anything else. The best chef in the world, like the first time they cooked, they actually made the best meal. No, mistakes are natural way of progression of learning. It's nothing to hide. Show me one person who hasn't made mistakes in anything they wanted to learn. So stop trying to be a perfectionist. That's OCD. Stop it. Just make mistakes. Just don't make the same mistake 2 times. That's all. And Aaron says, Maren, do you mind if I ask where you are ethnically from? No, I don't. I've already said I'm born and raised till I was almost 18 in Iran. And then my dad sent me to the United States for university. And then I went back after graduation. I went to military. And then 9 months after the revolution, I decided to leave the country because I couldn't, keep my mouth shut. If I didn't keep my mouth shut, I would go to jail. So I left. And then ever since, for the past 43 years, I've been living here in Canada, which was a place, a beacon of democracy and lawfulness and so on. And now it's turned out to be just another third world country with all mishmash and stupidity of the government and dictatorial behavior. And the asshole just comes out and openly says that he admires the communist China system of dictatorship. That tells us what kind of a mentality we Canadians have come to have. So stupid that we vote for idiots like this. All right. And he says, I'm from Netherlands, but originally from Turkey. Ah, Aaron. Yeah, okay. So I did answer it, I guess. And Prisoner says, yes, really, I always stuck with thoughts, even I know that every thought is not real. Yeah, okay. So anyhow, this is a large topic and it's lots of discussions, but honestly, it's been now 1 hour and a half, and I think it's pretty much close for me to do other things. And every day I like to be where my mom is at care center to help with the dinner, to mix, do a little bit to make it a little easier. And she enjoys to see me with her. So I make an appointment to be there around 4:30 because 5 o'clock is their dinner time. And it is so sensitive for me because my mother's always been very strong woman. She was an athlete, skiing, tennis. I remember I was a little boy and running around trying to pick up the balls and throw it to her when she was playing with her coach. And she always drove me to horseback riding training that I had, the serious equestrian training. And she was always a strong woman. One day when she was alone in the house, and she hears a sound, and we had a yard in Iran, and she apparently comes down in the yard, and she notices that the door to the basement is open. She looks in through the window, says there's this thief. He's trying to, gather things up in his whatever it is and to go. The first thing that my mother does, he actually locks the yard door so he won't escape. So she can beat the crap out of him, or I don't know what. Anyhow, so the thief naturally left everything and just begged to be to be given permission to leave. That's how powerful she was. And then I look at her now, and she's changed, and that is a sensitive moment, emotional moment. And our parents were usually looked by us upon them as they were gods, because they were helping us, clothing us, take care of us, feed us, teach us, and all that. And then that power and that authority, eventually you see them in this weak condition. Well, tomorrow I have arranged a big lunch for mom, many people. I wanted to create this energy around her, children and good people with positive energy. So many of us, so she would feel family is around her, even though we don't have much family here in Canada. Nobody is here. So I'm creating with my good friends that kind of atmosphere, so she will get the energy of life and we'll have a great time. So we're preparing for that. So that's why I think I will end it in a few minutes so I can get ready for that. What time is it right now? Yeah, I still have time. So let's see what else is here. And Erin says, thank you, you're welcome. Gabriela Spania says, Mr. Mera. I don't need the Mr., but I do an N at the end of my name. So Meran, how can I stop worrying about things that might not even happen, or about the butterfly effect? Well, you got to understand the intrusive thoughts. You got to understand the overactiveness of amygdala. You got to understand that it's all about your fears, and you got to understand that the brain doesn't find psychological security, or doesn't find security the same way that the body finds. So you got to understand how to manage thoughts, how to siphon thoughts, how to not pay attention to everything that shows up in your brain. Your problem is that everything that shows up in your brain, you think it must mean something, or you must come to a conclusion of this, whatever was introduced in your brain. You don't. You observe and live. You don't conclude and live. If you want to conclude in every goddamn thing that happens in life, you got to find out why it happened. What will it come up from it? What should I do about it? There are many things you don't do. You just observe it, you notice it, and then you just go on. But when you want to analyze and make something out of everything that comes up to your mind, then you're looking for a conclusion in life. Any kind of a conclusion for any kind of intrusive thoughts. And all thoughts take too much of your time, and then you become afraid of every single one of them. So that, again, is one of those things that you got to go and make an appointment with me at www.mindthatseekstruth.com. And then we can discuss what's concerning you one-on-one on Skype. Because these things I would not be able to discuss them in a formalized way. It will need back and forth with you, and to understand your psyche and what's there and how you deal with things, and then share with you how you should and how you could. All right. Looks like we are caught up. Albert says, hope you and your mom both have a good time together. Oh, thank you very much. I do that every day now because recently they lift up finally this stupid rule of if you're not vaccinated, you can't go into a care center. All the bullshit about this whole virus and vaccination and all that, as if the vaccine did anything. It didn't do. It didn't cause harm for people, and it didn't stop the problem, and it didn't stop the whatever it was, and it didn't stop from spreading or it didn't stop from you getting it. It's all bullshit. And the ones who actually got vaccinations are having more of the percentage of the people who catch this damn thing. So, anyhow, where was I? Why did I bring that? Yeah, so I've been doing that since they lifted up about 10 days ago. So I've been going that every day. So, and it's always a pleasant experience, just in a way, because it's lovely to see my mom and be there and be helpful. But at the same time, it's very sad to see the strong mother that ruled our lives. Now she's changed. And Gabriela says, I understand. Thank you. You're quite welcome. Rajesh Wodier says, hi, Meran, 30 male India. My ex is always rely on me in her bad days. But as soon as she gets improvement in life, if found exciting jobs or friends, she becomes busy or appears to avoid me. I really want to move on without depending on her. For my emotional well-being. Well, that's on you. You can't expect her to change her ways, as untasteful as it may be to you, just so that you would not have to deal with what it is that you become dependent on. Well, cut her off. If you see she's not reciprocating the way when you're there for her and she's not appreciating it, and as soon as things change for her life, suddenly she's, princess whoever, don't give a shit then. Don't go around her. If you don't have enough balls to cut your relationship with someone who doesn't appreciate you, well, that's how you deserve, and that's how much you're going to get. Same roller coaster. Do something about it. You can see, is it pleasant when she ignores you and then she uses you when she needs you? And you running like a little dog because what? You want sex. You want companionship. You want attention of a woman. Well, choose that. Instead of being chosen, also choose. If she's worthy to be your mate, if she's worthy for your attention, if they're not reciprocating, why do you keep offering it? When you keep offering something for nothing, receiving nothing in return, then they think that's how much it's worth. Nothing. And then they won't appreciate it. So if a woman appreciates you, you appreciate her tenfold. But if she doesn't, you disappear. Go by your business. You deserve better. Find somebody better. Now, whoever you are, woman, man, it's the same relationship. If you're not appreciated, then you move on. But if you hang around, then that's how you're going to be treated. You go to a restaurant and they throw the food in front of you. And if you keep going there every day, they will continue throwing the food in front of you without respect, without attention to what proper behavior is. But if you, once they throw that, you get up, pay for it, and don't eat it and get the hell out and never come back, they will learn. Because you're not hung up to get your value. Because you paid attention to her. Now you're going to do all kinds of things forever and ever until she pays attention to you. Don't be a beggar. She reciprocates, you give it back tenfold. Because that's what a gentleman does. And if you really like her, you be nice to her. But if she's not nice to you a couple of times, that's the end of it. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Until she realizes, well, that was not the way to treat you. If she changes, you give her another chance. She doesn't, never go back. Another one. There's no shortage of wonderful women around. So that's on you, whatever you're hurting for. Alex Stefan says, hi, why OCD is changing his subject every annoying? Well, it's it's like gate it's a gate to other OCD subsets. When the brain starts on a glitch of doubt, OCD is a doubting disease. When you doubt something, you try to find remedies for it, you conjure up these remedies. Well, that behavior, when it's not fixed, it can lead. It's like you have a rash on your hand and you scratch it and then touch your face. Well, you're going to have a rash here too. Pretty much, if you understand what I mean. So you have a certain kind of OCD. You don't deal with it. You don't understand what Dr. Schwartz talks about. You don't understand what Dr. Phillipson talks about. You don't understand what I mentioned here from the researchers and all that. Then you end up actually expanding it as it becomes your behavior. Because the more you treat it as if it's nothing and you can tolerate it, the more it becomes closer stimulated by your reward center, dopamine center, because once you do the compulsion of a obsession, then you get that feeling of feels good now, and that's dopamine is secreted. And every time dopamine is secreted, you want more dopamine because dopamine is addictive. And then you no longer doing the compulsion for the obsession. You're doing it for the obsession, but also to get the dopamine. And after a while, no longer you care about the obsession. You just keep doing it for the dopamine. And every time that this happened, also the third circle in the striatum was being stimulated, which is what? The habit center. So every time you did the compulsion for an obsession, you stimulated the reward center, dopamine, and you also stimulated the habit center without knowing it's in the background. And you're having 1,000 times. Before you know it, no longer you're doing it for the obsession, the compulsion. You're doing it to get the dopamine. And then no longer after a while doing it for dopamine even. You'd enjoy it, but you're actually doing it without knowing if there's any reward or not. You don't even care, even if there was no reward, because you're doing it because it became your habit. That's when it becomes more difficult to get rid of it. That's why the sooner you understand how to treat these, understand how to rewire your brain, reprogram it by the ways that have been explained, and it's available to you, then the more you will be able to manage it better, and then you'll be free. And then you won't seep into other versions of OCD, because you're training your brain to continuously believe in the doubting thing, and as if what you're doing is a remedy to that doubting thing. So then it learns that, oh, maybe I should do it also for this topic and this topic and that subject and that subject. So it comes up with all other kind of OCD subsets, and then suddenly, before you know it, you're just total crazy. Yeah, Aman. Okay. What was the point there, Aman? Just all that paragraph or nothing. There's no question there, is there? Aaron says, Maron, I got one question. Does it matter in which language you think in your head? No, why should it matter? Don't even go there. Who cares? You want a decision made. It's like mathematics doesn't have a language. It's mathematics, right? So thinking doesn't have a language, but you can interpret the thinking in a certain language, whichever you use most. That's all. Otherwise, you're paying too much attention for things that really shouldn't. Stop looking for conclusions. Stop looking for analyzing things. Not everything needs analyzation or analysis. And Rajesh Woodier says, I have a psychological question. I observed girls love a man, calls him hero, follow up him for whether he has work, had food, but as soon as they break up, how but how busily try shift all their emotion and care to the new person. Well, yeah, you stop caring because you don't have that emotion toward them. A similar thing, maybe a little different, but if you have a girlfriend and you love her and you don't she did something, or you guys end up seeing so much differences between the two of you as the years pass by, and you lose that interest, no longer that heat, that interest, that compatibility is there. So you go and find another girlfriend, and you're now excited about her, to prove yourself to her, to get her attention, to get her approval, and be affirmed by her. So you do all the good things for her, but not for this one, because this one you already did, and you went to the ends of it, and there was stagnation. Now, she may end up with the same stagnation with this one as well, if they are not really recognizing what makes a relationship work and what not, and if they're just after cosmetic stuff and fun stuff, and eventually that ends. But if they don't go deeper, they will always break up with the next one as well. So the fact that they are able to do that, you're able to do that too. Not maybe the same way, but they do. But women are different. They switch off from the man that they slept with as soon as they are no longer interested, or find reason not to be interested, or they become interested in another person. That's how they are. You don't have to know the reason, just that's the way it is. So fuck it, move on. Aaron says, yes, thank you. You're welcome. Birthau says, male 35, India. How to be indifferent to someone who disrespectful? Well, you got to understand, has anything changed in you by their disrespect? Or is it the image that you have of yourself, and you prefer other people to see you in that image has been tarnished because this person did not respect you in a way that you like and you think this image of you deserves? In other words, your ego has become more important than you. So you're trying to satisfy the ego by the fact that somebody did not respect you enough, rather than thinking about nothing has changed me, because that person who didn't respect me is on him. So in fact, he disrespected, he alienated himself from my respect toward him because he did not respect me. So really nothing has happened to you, because you're still the same character, same person, same qualifications, and you are not affirmed by the other person's respect towards you. It may hurt you because you have ego, but in reality, you're not defined by other people's utterings, thoughts, or intentions, or suggestions. You're defined by your actions. You're defined by you, by you believe in you, your confidence in you. But if that was the case, then anybody who would not say hello to you would feel like shit the whole day. But you're supposed to go beyond that and step away from that, and understand that people's behavior towards you is a reflection on them, not a reflection on you. When you think it's a reflection on you, you think you've become less than what you were, and you need other people's attention to feel big. But you got to feel big. And if they don't pay attention, don't appreciate it, that means they're small. That's on them, because their behavior, their actions, their reactions towards you does not define you if you've been decent. You're defined by your own actions, not by their reactions. All right. Alex Stephen says, sir, how to stop looking for conclusions? Understand that life is an observation. Different conclusions, it's irrelevant to you. There is no conclusions in reality. It's all about a journey. Same road could end up to different branches, different destinations, because there are different things that can have a tangent from that road. You can't say this road ends up the same place. So in here, when you ask the conclusion, that means don't expect a conclusion anywhere. Just do your best, make your best effort, have your plans, try to bring them to fruition, but then don't focus on conclusion. Focus on the efforts that you're making. Focus on the journey, not the destination, because the destinations could also be extended. So there is no conclusion. If you choose a conclusion, that is when you stop your mind from actually being free. You give it a point of stoppage. But you just want to be mindful of all these possibilities, yet you keep on your travel and you decide where you want to stop, for how long, and then go on. Otherwise, you don't want to set the ending for anything. Most things, some things are clear what the conclusion is. All right. Okay, I think we've had enough. It's about 2 hours. So it's time for me to say, I love you all. Thank you very much for being here, sharing it, allowing me to share a thing or two with you. I look forward to our next live stream. I don't know, maybe very late tonight after I go see my mom and then I go to the gym and all that. Maybe if I'm still awake or in it with it. And in the meantime, be good to yourself and to the others. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Subscribe on my channel, visit my channel, and go through the videos that you might be interested in. Mind@seekstruth.com is making it one step away to talk to me one-on-one on Skype and discuss what's concerning you. I'll talk to you soon.